Welcome back, everyone. I'm joined by Jim Wilson, the assistant sports editor for the Telegram and Gazette and Home Team magazine. Willie, the state vote passed for the new Super Bowl format, new state playoff format. It passed, so now it's going to take place 2 years next, not this season, but next season. It's going to be a 2-year term. What are your initial thoughts on this proposal?
Cautiously optimistic. Is that fair to say?
I mean,
because I like the idea of having a state playoff, because like all the other guys involved in this, they did a great job on it. I didn't like the fact there's like 6 state champions, even though I don't think the Central Mass people, or anybody else for that matter, call themselves state championships. But I mean, you had so many people winning, titles at the end of the year, and it was nice to see, because I think it was great to have every team rewarded. But the same thing is, it's kind of a hollow, where do you go from here type of thing. So I like this because it solves that. There'd be one, there's 6 state champions at the end of the year. That's it. No arguments. No, what if this team played this team? It ends that argument, which is really nice to see. I'm curious to see how it can work long term with the leagues and the 7-week schedule and the Thanksgiving games. There's a lot of things that have to go right for this to happen. I'd be curious if in 2 years, when they have a chance to relook at this, if it's the same proposal that just gets rolled over. Because I do think once the genie's out of the bottle, it's going to be tough to go back to no state playoffs. I think this thing's going to be here to stay for a while.
This is what I think in terms of the debate. I think there's always going to be debate, at least in Central Mass, of who the best team is, regardless of division. If whoever the Division I champ is, well, Auburn was better. Well, Neshoba was better. So I hate it. I hate the whole proposal, and this is why I hate it.
You want the
this
Super
is why
8.
I hate it.
Bring back the Super 8.
I don't want the Super 8 even. I just want the top 4. I want the top 4 teams at the end of the year. You have the top 4 teams, regardless of division, play a playoff and a Super Bowl. The rest of the divisions, you take the top 2, they play a Super Bowl. That's it. So you could do Thanksgiving is on a Thursday. A week from that Saturday, you have the Super Bowls with all the divisions, just the top 2 teams. Then, but before that, Thanksgiving's on the Thursday. That next Wednesday, you do the Final 4 playoff, the top 4 teams. They have the playoff that Wednesday. The next Wednesday or Tuesday, they play their Super Bowl. Now you've had a week in between each game, so you don't have that short week. And you have a true number 1 team in Central Mass. Everyone still gets, each division still gets a Super Bowl, but enough of everyone getting a lollipop. Let's talk about this and your thoughts. The way we were calculating it, the way I was looking at it, if this new format was put in place this year, 4 of the 8 teams in each division that made the playoffs would get in with a losing record.
Including teams like 2 and 5 Clinton.
Yeah, and Fitchburg with a 1 and 8, 1 and 7, whatever. So what are you doing? What's going on there? Are you rewarding like, hey, coddle everyone. Everyone needs a lollipop. You're pretty good too, Jimmy. Tough. If you don't make the playoffs, go lift harder in the offseason. Go to more camps. Run more. Do something to make yourself better as a team.
It's a good point, because that's what's happening. It's happening because you have the week 8, week 9, they're all going to be playoffs, and so you have a lot of questionable teams making it. But in that case, it's just more of a, what are the other options? I mean, in this position, this playoff thing, that was the only thing they can do. And yeah, you have 8 out of 10 teams in the division making the playoffs. So you're going to have teams like that. But, do they get blown out by the number 1 seed the first week? Maybe. So I think that's what it comes down. There's no way to make this thing 100% happy, and that's the problem. The football committee did a good job trying to serve many masters, and that's where they get into trouble. I think if they took the leagues out of the formation, because then you get the problem with power rankings. Now a team like Valley Tech has, just because we were talking about this today, with the matter of Valley Tech, is they're playing Monty Tech, and they're playing teams that might not give them the wins that require. They're being punished because they have to play their league. Why can't they just, if there's no league, they go out and find it? Hey, we're going to be competitive in a couple of years. Let's find these teams that will give us 7 wins, 8 wins at the end of the year. If we beat them, great, we're rewarded for it. Now they're getting punished because they have to play the leagues.
What about this too? We're talking about true state champion. There is no true Division I state champion. There is no true Division III state champion, because Central and Western Mass aren't going to play in Division I and III. So it's not even a true state championship format. Again, brutal. Oh, you got a true Division I state champion in basketball, baseball, all these other sports. You're not going to have it here under this format. So I hate that. And then you have a team that loses week 1 of the playoffs. You got 3 more games left that don't matter, that you just lost. Now, it's one thing when you're going along your season and you think, okay, we don't maybe have a shot for the playoffs, but the games still matter. You just lost, and now you have to play 3 more weeks of football in the cold weather when it's not fun to practice, it's not fun to get up for games. That's terrible.
You're getting me a little nervous over here.
Oh, I hate it.
You're
I'm
fired
telling
up.
you. I
up.
absolutely hate it. And if it's such a great system, why don't they do it in basketball? Why don't they do it in baseball? Start the playoffs 3/4 of the way through the season in baseball and basketball. See what happens when these teams lose. See how many seniors in the spring say, I'm done.
Right.
And that's what you're going to have here. You're going to have teams that lose the first week of the playoffs or second week of the playoffs, and you're going to have a basketball coach go, what are you doing? You're an all-star. You can be a basketball all-star. What are you doing playing 2 or 3 more weeks of football? You're only going to get hurt.
Right.
Whoop! Here's your helmet and shoulder pads, coach. I quit. Hey, we taught a great lesson to these kids. Great lesson. When the going gets tough and you lose, cash in your equipment. Go see someone else, I mean, it's just, I hate it. Why does every kid need a lollipop? Why do we have to have 8 teams in the playoffs? Why can't we just take the top 2? I think when you played, I know when I played, it was just, you won your league.
Right.
I don't even know what the formula was. We never got close. We never made the playoffs. But the thing is, no one on my team cried because we didn't make the playoffs. We didn't make the playoffs. We weren't good enough. Sudbury was better. Concord was better. So we should have gotten the weight room more. We should have run more hills. There's nothing wrong with saying to kids, try. If you fail, then what do? Go back and try a little harder. But everyone has to coddle everyone. But what if everyone doesn't make the playoff? It's terrible. It's terrible.
It's not soccer, which is why I think when they try to do this, because the problem is way back when, a lot of 10-1 teams didn't get into it because they lost the wrong game. And it happens a lot now in Eastern Mass when they have the league champion goes to the playoff. They don't have the 4 teams per league or anything like that in Eastern Mass, which sort of necessitated this whole monstrosity, which is the playoff system now. So that's the problem. But the problem is now they couldn't just make it small; they had to make it bigger, which begat the anti-Shea policy of.
Well, you bring up a good point here. Now we're going to have a true state champion. Western Mass is using a different formula than Central Mass. Central Mass is using a different formula than Eastern Mass. You have 3 different formulas, but we're going to have one true state champion. By the way, in 4 of the 6 divisions, not in all 6 divisions. The other thing is, now you're killing Thanksgiving Day football because now they're saying you can go ahead. If Thanksgiving's a league game, go ahead and schedule it for your first 7. So a team, say Fitchburg and Leominster, play in week 4.
Right.
Then they play again in the playoffs. Now you're going to play again on Thanksgiving. It's the 3rd time. It may not mean, first of all, the Thanksgiving Day games don't mean anything if you're in the playoffs. You could lose on Thanksgiving and you're still going on in the playoffs. So right then and there, hey, why am I going to play my starting quarterback and running back? Because this game doesn't mean anything. Right. Financially, teams like Fitchburg and Leominster count on that gate on Thanksgiving Day. So you're going to be hurt financially, and it just hurts the tradition of Thanksgiving Day football. That was everyone's bowl game in high school, and you're cutting it off at the legs.
I think it's a good point, but I think it only affects the teams that are still in that playoff after that. I mean, let's be honest, the last couple of rematches, we've had Fitchburg and Leominster. We had Fitchburg and Leominster twice last year.
Yep.
It was a great game both times. And that's because they met on Thanksgiving, then they met like 4 days later in the playoffs. There's not one person that would hated to see that. So I can see that argument. If it's a good rematch, I think the gate's just going to be as good. It's still Thanksgiving. But you're right to the fact that for those playoff teams that are playing on the next week, it's a JV game. It's, hey, sorry, for the seniors that wanted to play on Thanksgiving, you're sitting this one out because, God forbid, I'm not letting you roll your ankle on some freak play. And then now I lost the state championship because of it. So, but that in that respect, it's only affecting a small market of teams. It's only affecting like 6 to 12 teams that are still in that position.
And the difference is there when they're playing a second time, it's already in the playoffs.
Right.
This time, they could play the first time in the regular season. Second time at Thanksgiving, it loses a lot of muster. We're out of time. We could go another half hour with this.
What about Northridge?
We'll be back with more of the Frenzy Extra right after this.